I'm gonna stay in South Africa, right? But I'd like to think I'm gonna be more general with my fact now.
Then ex-Lieben.
Yeah, I think I'm more accessible, shall we say? You've heard of the Yeti, right? You know what a Yeti is like. So a Yeti is part of a kind of a section of myths and legends called a cryptid. And what cryptids are is they're creatures or animals that are supposed to exist, but there's no evidence that they actually do.
Wow.
So everything from the Yeti to the Wendigo in America's forests, these are all cryptids. And South Africa has its own cryptid.
No.
Yeah, it's called die Groot Slang. So here's the thing, here's the story. So the people of the Richtersveld apparently used to tell stories that underneath the Richtersveld. I'm not gonna humor that with a comment. The people of the Richtersveld, Ryan. It doesn't matter, does it?
No.
It doesn't matter. No. See? It's fine.
Everybody
else
like
knows,
geography.
Everybody else knows where the Richtersveld is. But the people of the Richtersveld used to tell a story of how underneath the Richtersveld, in the caves and tunnels underneath the Richtersveld, there lived this enormous snake, die Groot Slang. Wow. This really oversized snake that is so big it would lure elephants into its caves and holes and eat elephants. So this is how big this snake is. And there's not a lot of like hard sources for these stories, So there's not a lot of people who say, oh yeah, so and so says they saw die Groot Slang. And there's if you dive into die Groot Slang on the internet, there's versions where die Groot Slang has the head of an elephant itself, which would make it kind of cannibalistic, I suppose. And there's some versions of the stories where it lives in a tunnel that is completely surrounded. Kind of all the walls are just covered in diamonds. So there's a lot of stories about what it is.
Fuck, man.
But
wow.
die Groot.
Never heard of it.
Die Groot Slang is a South African cryptid, a South African unique cryptid, and that is my fact.
There's a reason I haven't heard of this. It's because it's a pile of shite. It's wonderful. You made the whole thing up.
Is that your...
Yes.
You're certain I'm lying?
Yes.
It's 100% true.
No.
It's 100% true, right?
No.
South Africa has its very own cryptid, the die Groot Slang. I mean, let's be honest. We weren't very creative in the name.
Wow.
Like, I think if I'd made it up, I would have...
Seriously, where's Richtersveld?
I mean, it's kind of Northern Cape,
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the Northern Cape. There you are, yeah.
No.
Northern Cape, yeah. Northern Cape, there you are.
Shit, eh?
Border of Namibia and South Africa.
Are there caves and shit there? Fucking hell.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's the story. I mean, it makes sense that that's where you're going to find diamonds, right?
Yes.
But
Yes,
that's 100% true thing. I mean, I think if I'd made it up, I would have made up a more interesting name than die Groot Slang.
Oh.
I mean, when you hear Americans talk about it, it's great because they call it the Groot Slang. Have you guys heard about the Groot Slang? It's
I mean,
but yeah.
Our first reading assignment in Standard 6 in Afrikaans was about an African legend called Kodomodumo die Draak. So, and that was apparently a traditional African story. Kodomodumo die Draak. And then there was an oak who'd stutter a lot, and we mocked him. And I feel bad for it to this very day.
Nasty. But of course, the Drakensberg is named because, partly because they said it looked like the back of a dragon, but also partly because they said, when the mist forms in parts of the Drakensberg, it looks like dragons breathing out of their caves.
Wow.
So we've got some of that.
Yes,
that kind of
Misty
nonsense.
Mountain shit.
Yeah, we've got some of that nonsense going on in this country. We're not ashamed of our own myths and legends.
Slang.